The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
You're listening to the Alldus podcast ServiceNow series. Our guest today is Jeff Mondick. Jeff is the ServiceNow Platform Leader at SilverTree Consulting. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm pretty happy to be here.
And we're delighted to have you. I know we've been talking about getting you on for a while, so I'm delighted we finally got here. So Let's jump straight in. Let's start with yourself, Jeff, as we do with all of our guests. Could you give us an overview of your background in technology and a little bit about your journey from where you started, some of the roles you've held along the way, and what's led you to where you are today as the ServiceNow Platform Leader for SilverTree Consulting?
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to get exposed to computers and technology pretty early in my life. My school, elementary school, ran a program that was introducing Apple computers to the classrooms, and I was an early adopter of that. So third, fourth grade, I was programming in BASIC and learning the ins and outs of computers. And it really gave me kind of a leg up on a career and where I'm at now. Fast forward, I went to college. It dropped out due to financial reasons, but ended up getting a job in sales for computers of all things. Worked that for a while, ended up moving to a Unix admin role. So I taught myself Unix and was an admin there for a while. And I think one of my big breaks that really set me off on the career I'm at today was a job with Starbucks Coffee Company. Initially, I was running the systems at their roasting plant, but in 2004, there was a big earthquake in Seattle, and I was flown out to help them recover, and I really just never returned. So moved to Seattle, and we went through my very first ITIL transformation. I was running the server team at the time for Starbucks. We were doing a lot of really cool things, and we were reorganizing. It was getting too big to be sustainable for where it was at. So went through a rather large ITIL transformation as one of the primes for that. Worked there, ran the ITIL systems for the servers and for the infrastructure teams for a while, and then got a job with GE. So at GE, I was in charge of the ITSM platform systems, or one of them at least. Now, at the time, there were 63 across the board just for my business segment that I was in. If you guys remember GE, big conglomerate, lots of different business units, and these business units were all using a number of different platforms to manage their technology and their IT. I came in, and one of my first jobs was to find a replacement for some of those. The RFP that I ran, had some of the big players in. It was HP and Remedy. I forget who else at the time, but one of the smaller ones was ServiceNow. We were looking at them from a standpoint, knew that they were a relatively young company, but the buzz on the street, but there was a lot of upside, a lot of potential. In that RFP, they just blew me away. Fantastic people, fantastic product, and it didn't take much to see the upside, even in those pre-Aspen days, that there was going to be a lot of potential for this platform. So as a part of GE, I ran the ITIL implementation for what at the time was the biggest implementation of ServiceNow, big transformation project, migrating all those systems into one giant system, working with CIOs from across the business units. Really gave me a lot of experience working with the platform, solving problems with ServiceNow. And what you're going to see is that became the theme for my career, is solving problems and how do we really apply technology to solve business problems. So long story short there, I ran the ITSM side of ServiceNow specifically for the help desk for a couple of years with GE, and then did another GE transformation project. At this time, we were merging two big instances of ServiceNow. So I think it was the largest instance at the time, and then the second largest instance at the time, merged them into one big system, which again created the new largest instance of ServiceNow. So worked on that for a couple of years all across GE, and then post-financial crisis in the late aughts, what happened was that GE was named a too big to fail organization. And it was specifically GE Capital that had a bunch of new regulations that need to be put in place. And so I went over to the GE Capital side and put together the one of the first highly regulated instances of ServiceNow for a financial environment. So there was a lot of, I don't even want to say customizations, but there was a lot of things that we had to think outside the box in order to solve these government regulations and apply that with ServiceNow. GE Capital was sold, and at that point, I went over to GE Digital and built their ServiceNow platform. Now, GE Digital was the electronic and programming arm of General Electric. They had a programming language called Predix, and it was, again, how do you solve industrial problems using the software, using these capabilities? And at the time, I did the very first enterprise implementation for CSM, as well as the very first enterprise-wide large-scale migration from Salesforce over to ServiceNow CSM. So that was exciting stuff. And then, of course, I think most people will be familiar with GE. A lot of decisions from leadership, ended up selling a lot of the company and eventually breaking up. At that point, did a short stint at a boutique consulting firm, and then I wound up at a local insurance place, medium to large-size private insurer. They needed their ServiceNow platform fixed. And within a year and a half, I had taken a platform that hadn't been touched within the past 3 years or so. I had a skeleton crew. And this is important because what had happened was I had to get a lot done with a small amount of people. And you'll hear me talk about this a little bit later with the rapid implementation process, but I applied FastWorks, which is the lean startup mentality, getting things done in a quick manner, reducing overhead, honing processes, and I applied those to ServiceNow, and that really started the building blocks of what I'm doing today with SilverTree. Long story short, was with the insurer for a while. I did a year and a half or so with EY and their consulting arm. Great company, lots of good people there, really learned a lot. And then SilverTree came and recruited me. They had a great mission, still do, have a great mission around solving problems with ServiceNow and being able to take artificial intelligence and applying it to businesses. So not just AI for AI's sake, but how do we solve real life business problems using AI, using ServiceNow? And it was very intriguing. I took the job, and that's where I'm here today.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I do appreciate the level of detail that you went into, because there are a few things that you said that stood out. First of all, your early exposure to ITSM, the work you did at being an early mover on the ServiceNow platform, and then the impact that had to the organization, and now what's led you to where you are today at SilverTree. Let's jump straight into it. Can you give us a little bit more insight into SilverTree's mission, who you are, what you do, and then talk about your role as the platform leader?
Absolutely. And so I've been with SilverTree a little over a year now. We're a small company on purpose. We like to think of ourselves as niche, but beyond niche providers. And what we're focusing on, our raison d'etre, is focusing on applied AI. So I had mentioned before, about solving real business problems with AI, and that's what we're focusing on. We've got a number of partners, ServiceNow, of course, being one of the larger ones, but we look at mostly small and medium businesses. So we feel that market's been ignored, but you've got a lot of potential there to help these businesses use AI and use ServiceNow to help them further their business to achieve their business goals. And so what we're doing is we're building, we have a proprietary system called Vigilance that kind of brings ServiceNow, you're using Science Logic, other tools together and unifies them under a platform that kind of gives you a one view into your environment, into what's going on. It's a tool suitable for small, medium businesses of every level of the company. And so we're building that, and then I'm specifically responsible for building up our ServiceNow business. And so my first year, most of my first year that I was with SilverTree, I was client facing. We had a large client, ended up taking up a lot of time, a great experience, but I was really ignoring our platform side. So over the past couple months, I've been focusing on building up the ServiceNow practice, going all in with AI, ensuring that we've got the right services together, and then going out into the world and building those services and helping companies. And one thing I'd also like to mention that I think is absolutely fantastic about SilverTree is that half of our profits are donated to a company called Next Gen Thriving. Now, what that is, it's a system that helps with marginalized youth with job training. And originally, this started with getting folks exposure to IT, marginalized populations, getting them into IT and learning programming, but it's expanding to all sorts of job thrills. And I'm really passionate about that mission. I come from a very poor area, and I know what it's like to seek opportunity and not have that opportunity. And this is a great way that we're giving back to the community, giving back to the world, and really helping out altruistically from a charitable standpoint, I guess.
I love that. I'm so glad you brought it up, and I definitely want to speak more on that a little later in the conversation, Jeff, because I think it's a great selling point when you're trying to attract talent to SilverTree.
Absolutely.
Focusing on some of the recent customer interactions you've had, particularly with ServiceNow, are there any recent projects that stand out that you are particularly proud of or that you were excited to work on? And what could you share with us about a recent customer interaction where they defined the problem or they didn't know what problem they had, and what SilverTree was able to do from first conversation to implementation and what came out the other side?
So one of our kind of principles is that we're trying to push the envelope. We want to remove barriers to companies that are either looking to dipping their toe into ServiceNow and artificial intelligence. They know a lot about they want to learn about artificial intelligence, but don't quite know a lot yet. Or perhaps they're too small. They have needs that they need a platform like ServiceNow, or they need some ITSM capability, but unfortunately they're too small or they can't afford the platform. And this is where SilverTree comes in. So we've had a couple customers that we've engaged on the consulting side. And this is most of what we've done. I'll talk a little bit about how we're growing. We'll lead right into that. But most of our AI and ServiceNow has been on that consulting side, where we're showing customers how to implement ServiceNow and how to implement AI. And one of the things that came out of that is working with a customer. It's a very small nonprofit. They're growing. We're provide help desk services for them. However, they're looking to expand a little bit. And so what we've done, we've used new capabilities with ServiceNow, using Service Bridge, using what we call fractional services. And these are services that will provide these companies like a subscription rate. And then we'll be able to automatically generate things like service catalogs for them and workflows using AI. So we took a small customer that really didn't know where to go, was really wanting to get involved with ServiceNow, and built them the processes that they need, used a number of different kind of proprietary techniques that SilverTree has been developed. And one of our biggest ones is that rapid iteration process that I mentioned earlier. It's got its roots in FastWorks. And what it does is it removes the overhead. And so you have these companies that may not have a project management practice. They may not have an IT practice, and we provide them for that. So for this particular customer, we took away the things that they didn't need. We looked at what we can implement for them. We ended up going with a Service Bridge, fractional proprietary services, and then we're migrating them and building them up to a bigger service. So if you think about it, they start small, we grow with them, and then we're helping them as they grow on their journey. We're becoming their partners. We help them with their roadmaps, consulting, things that we feel that they should be doing as they continue their journey down to ServiceNow. And so I think this is going to be a big customer over the next couple of years, starting small, growing with them. And that really is key to our business and our business model, finding customers that really are looking for that expertise, that are looking for long-term partners, instilling that trust, and then growing with them.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Switching gears slightly to the people side of it, you mentioned in your introduction you guys are you lean and mean, small and mighty type of organization. Can you describe the ServiceNow group, the broader team that you oversee right now, from the background of the individual, the types of positions, the overall size, and geographically where you're all based, and most importantly, then what it's like to be part of that team day to day?
So as I had mentioned, we're a small team. I like to say small and scrappy. We have a handful of developers. We do leverage offshore. So we've got an Indian office that we have quite a few employees. And then our employees, our project managers, the sales engineers, these folks are all remote. So we're 100% remote company. We're all over the country. We've got folks in Montana, California, Florida. I'm in New Orleans. And so we've got a fairly diverse base, especially for how small we are. Now, that being said, the ServiceNow practice is pretty nascent. I've been given the charge over the past 2 months of really starting to build this up. And so when I say it's small, it is small. We've got great people. I'm being very picky when it comes to the folks that are joining the organization, but we've got huge plans over the next couple months to really expand what we're doing. We're looking for partners, folks that are really passionate about being fast movers. So even though at this point we're starting from scratch, we're looking for the best of the best people. Those folks that are comfortable with being uncomfortable, detail oriented, folks that can really go in, move the needle, and are excited about the platform, about the capabilities of AI. And as we look at the future, as we look at growing, we know we're small right now. We've got plans to rapidly increase that. So, we're looking for partners, again, actively looking for folks to help us implementation-wise, staffing-wise, to ensure that we get the best of the best people and that we continue to give our customers the best service. And one of my big strengths, one of the things I feel that I'm very proud of, is I love to mentor people. So I love to build teams. I love to see folks progress in their careers. And I look for talent, look for folks that maybe not have the experience, because you can train. You can always train you can always train on the technology, but sometimes it's hard to find those people that are a right fit, the people that are willing to go in, give that extra mile, and dive in and really become those problem solvers that we're looking for. And so I think to sum that up, we want to move fast, but we want to be careful. We want to impact and disrupt the environment, but at the same time, we also want to make sure that we're adding value and we're not just doing things, implementing AI just for the sake of implementing AI. And we're looking for folks that are comfortable with that. Again, diverse, global, looking at all these different options and really want to find those right people that want to join us.
My final question, I feel, is already answered because you've given us so much about why SilverTree is an interesting company and a great place to work. But I always like to finish on that question. With the growth that you're talking about, with the investment in people and the need to bring in more resources to help you build out this practice, when you're speaking to candidates about SilverTree, what is it that you tell them about the work, the mission, the environment, the support, the culture that gets them excited enough to join SilverTree over some of the other partners also operating in the space?
That's a great question. There's a few things that come to mind. I think one of the key areas is that it's going to be exciting. So when I talk about the starting from scratch, we really are very nascent. We're really building this up, and it's an opportunity to be part of something that didn't exist and to go along with that journey. So if you're looking at building something, not quite a startup because we've been around for a while, but the ServiceNow side of it, again, brand new. So you're looking for, if someone's a good problem solver, if someone is passionate about the technology, passionate about giving back, because as I said, we've got our next gen thriving that we work with, giving back to the community. If someone's looking for flexibility, we're a great team. We're casual, but at the same time, we really like to get work done. We've got a good support system, world-class, in my opinion, recruiting services. So we've got a lot going. Us being a small company, we'll be able to turn on the dime. So I'm a big fan of course correction. If you need to course correct, move fast, fail quickly, move on, take those lessons learned and build a better company, build a better world for your client. And that's what we're looking for. The capabilities of folks that their company are comfortable moving fast. And I said this earlier, being comfortable being comfortable with being uncomfortable is the key there. We're looking to break boundaries. We're looking to move this stuff forward. And one of the things I like to point out is that all my life, I've been moving fast and people have been telling me slow down. I'm looking for people that are saying, no, it's time for everyone else to catch up. How do we push the envelope? How do we continue to solve problems with ServiceNow? How do we continue to use the new technology, specifically AI, to make a better world for our businesses, for our customers, and ultimately for SilverTree? And if folks are passionate about that, looking for good people to work with, give me a shout.
Thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us. I'm delighted we finally got you on the show. I know from our prior conversations, I knew it would be a good conversation, and it didn't disappoint. A great insight into the environment and the practice that you're building at SilverTree, and the things that are important to you and the mission really stand out. Obviously, as an organization, the fact that 50% of the profits made as a company go to giving back into the tech community for underserved areas is amazing. But also the work that you're doing for your customers is really compelling. So we wish you, the team, and everyone at SilverTree the very best of luck in the months and years ahead, and look forward to having you back on the show again in the near future.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it as well. We'll give you some good updates and we'll keep things moving. So thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.